This podcast is hosted by Will Glomsky. Will is an experienced critical care paramedic working on a ground ambulance. This podcast is purely educational, and the opinions reflected are of the hosts only. This show is not intended to supersede any local protocol or training. This podcast covers educational content surrounding emergency medical services. Welcome to the Midnight Medic Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Midnight Medic Podcast. I'm your host, Will, and if you're tuning in today, I'm guessing you're either a brand new EMT or someone who's interested in joining the EMS field. Either way, I'm excited to have you here. Becoming an EMT is an incredible achievement, but the journey doesn't stop when you get your certification. In fact, that's when the real learning begins. Today, I want to focus on the first few steps in your EMS career, those crucial first days, weeks, and months as a new hire EMT. We'll go over some tips, what to expect, how to succeed, and how to stay grounded while navigating the unique challenges of this fast-paced, high-pressure field. So whether you're riding your first shift or about to start, this episode is for you. Let's dive in. All right, first things first, congratulations, you've passed your exams. You've been hired and now you're ready to take on the world of EMS. But as you might have already realized, there's a lot more to being an EMT than what you learned in class. Here's what you can expect as you start your first few shifts. The first shift, jitters. The first day probably comes with a mix of excitement, anxiety, and maybe even a little fear. That's completely normal. It's a big change from classroom learning to real-world practice, and the stakes are higher. You're now in a situation where people's lives are in your hands, and you don't have the luxury of pausing to look up something in a textbook. The reality of the first shift. Your first shift as an EMT can be overwhelming. All the preparation you've done, the hours of study, the practice scenarios, the certifications, they've led you to this moment. But the reality is different from the classroom, and that can be a little intimidating. You're stepping into a high-pressure, fast-paced environment where every decision counts. It's real life, not a simulation, and you may find yourself thinking, what if I miss something? What if I don't know what to do in the moment? What if I freeze or make a mistake? First off, let's acknowledge that everyone has been there. The most seasoned paramedics and EMTs once stood in your shoes, walking into their first shift, unsure and maybe a little scared. It's okay to be nervous. It's part of the process. Over time, you'll start to realize that those nerves start to turn into something that you can manage. The fear of the unknown. One of the biggest sources of first day jitters is the fear of the unknown. In school, everything is fairly controlled. You know what's coming next in a lesson, and your instructors are there to guide you. On the rig, it's a different story. You don't know who your patients will be. Will you be facing a cardiac emergency? An unconscious patient? A child with a broken bone? Every call is different, and it's normal to feel a little apprehensive about handling something you haven't encountered in training. You don't know where your partner will be. Every EMT or paramedic has their own way of doing things. Some will be hands-on and provide lots of guidance, while others may give you more freedom to work independently. The dynamic between you and your partner will evolve over time. But it's totally normal to feel unsure about how to communicate or collaborate effectively on your first day. And you don't know the rhythm of the job. In EMS, shifts can vary. 12s, 24s, 6, reverse 48s. Sometimes you'll be super busy with back-to-back calls, and other times it'll be quiet. Learning the flow of the job, managing your time, and finding your place in the rhythm of the team takes time. On your first day, you might feel like you're just trying to keep up. How to cope with the jitters. Now that we've talked about where the nerves come from, let's focus on how to deal with them. There are a few strategies to help you manage your first day jitters. Prepare but don't overthink. Preparation is key, but try not to overthink things to the point where you're paralyzed by fear. Before your first shift, review the basics. Brush up on your patient assessments, vital signs, medications, and protocols for common emergencies. Confidence in the basics will carry you through most situations. Know your tools. Familiarize yourself with the equipment in the rig. You won't have time to fumble around with supplies in the middle of a call, so knowing where everything is will give you a sense of control. Visualize the day ahead. Visualize yourself succeeding in your role can help reduce anxiety. Picture yourself going through the steps of a call, assessing your patient, communicating with your partner, and taking action. Visualization can give you the confidence to handle whatever comes your way. Lean on your partner. If you're paired with a more experienced partner, which you likely will be, lean on them for support and guidance. Remember, they've been where you are, and they're there to help you succeed. Ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask for clarification or guidance. It's better to ask than to make assumptions. In fact, most partners will expect you to ask questions, and they'll be more than happy to help. Don't worry about looking inexperienced. Your partner is there to mentor you, not to judge. The first day is all about learning. Don't put pressure on yourself to be perfect. The more you engage and learn, the better you'll get. Take a deep breath and stay present. One of the best ways to cope with nerves is to focus on staying in the present. When you're feeling overwhelmed, take a moment to take a deep breath. This sounds simple, but breathing deeply can help calm your mind, body, reducing anxiety, and focus on the task at hand. When you're on a call, concentrate on the assessment, the patient, the steps you will need to take to help them. Block out distractions and stay focused. When you focus on one thing at a time, the overwhelming feelings can start to subside. And don't be afraid to make mistakes. This is huge. You will make mistakes. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And that's okay. That's how we learn. Every EMT, medic, and paramedic has had a moment where they made a mistake or missed something important. Whether it's forgetting a piece of equipment, I've done that before, misjudging a treatment, or not communicating clearly. But guess what? Mistakes are how we learn. The key is to learn from them. After your shift, reflect on what went well and what you could have done better. Talk to your partner or supervisor about how you can improve next time. Be kind to yourself. The first day is just the beginning of a long career of learning, growing, and improving. Don't expect perfection right off the bat. This comes with time. Remember why you chose this job. When things feel overwhelming, remind yourself why you became an EMT in the first place. This job is all about helping people when they need it most. Whether you're saving lives, offering comfort, or just being there for someone in their darkest moment, you're making a difference in their life. The first day jitters will eventually give way to a sense of purpose, and over time, your nerves will transform into confidence. The more you experience, the more comfortable and capable you'll feel in these high-stress situations. Remember, your first day is just the start of an exciting and rewarding career. With each call, each shift, and each interaction, you'll gain more experience and confidence. Over time, those initial jitters will fade into the background as you begin to feel more at home in your role. When you start as a new hire, it's constant learning. Some of it will be formal, like continuing education, shadowing more experienced colleagues, or receiving feedback during ride-alongs. But most of it will be hands-on, sink-or-swim learning. Ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask your partner or other crew members for clarification. EMS is a field where learning from each other is just as important as formal training. If you're unsure about a protocol, ask. If you don't know where the AED is stored in the ambulance, ask. If you're feeling lost in a difficult situation, ask for guidance. But be sure to keep your eyes open and stay involved. Being proactive is key. Get feedback and take it to heart. You'll get plenty of feedback, both positive and constructive, so embrace it. Everyone has their own style, and learning from each person you work with is valuable. Don't get defensive. Instead, use the feedback to improve. And remember, this is a field where everyone has room for growth. Even the most seasoned EMTs are always learning and improving. Staying calm under pressure. EMS is intense. Things happen quickly, and people are counting on you to stay cool in life or death situations. The first thing you need to do when you're faced with an emergency is stay calm. This might seem like a no-brainer, but it's easier said than done. Take a deep breath. When you step onto an ambulance and the lights go on, it's easy to get overwhelmed. But remember, you've been trained to handle this. You can do this. Focus on the task at hand, break down the situation as steps, and stay organized. Don't let your emotions cloud your judgment. Control what you can. You won't be able to control everything on every call, but you can control your response. Focus on the things you can do, whether that's managing the scene, assessing a patient, or simply offering reassurance. Your calm demeanor will help your partner and the patient feel more secure. Mastering the basics. During your first few weeks on the job, focus on mastering the basics. You learned a lot in school, but it's time to put theory into practice. Here are a few things to pay attention to. Patient assessment. This is the backbone of EMS. You'll be using your primary and secondary assessments on every patient, so make sure you've got them down. A quick, systematic approach to assessing your patient's airway, breathing, and circulation and overall presentation can make all the difference. For those of you who are EMTs and plan to go on to paramedicine, this is the exact same assessment they'll be using through paramedic school. For paramedics who are going on to critical care, guess what? Same assessment. Doctors, nurses, CNAs, exact same assessment. Focus on it now. Get it done early. The earlier that you remember all of this, the better it's going to make your career overall. Vitals. Get comfortable taking vitals. pulse, blood pressure, respiration rate, oxygen saturation. These numbers will guide much of your decision-making and help inform your treatment. Scene management. Learn to control the environment around you. Whether it's ensuring safety or organizing the team during a call, managing a scene efficiently is essential to patient care. Working with your partner. Your partner is going to be your most valuable resource. When you're a new EMT, you'll likely be paired with someone who's more experienced, and it's important to lean on them, especially during the early stages of your career. Open, clear communication is vital. Whether you're doing a quick handoff or patient care or relaying information to the hospital, make sure you're always on the same page. And trust. As you gain experience, you'll build rapport with your partner, and trust will grow. Trust that your partner has your back and that you have theirs. You'll be facing high-pressure situations together, and supporting one another is key to success. Self-care and mental health. Being an EMT can be emotionally taxing. You'll see things that'll stick with you, and there will be calls that leave a lasting impact. It's so important to take care of your mental health. In fact, your ability to do your job well is directly tied to your emotional well-being. Debrief after tough calls. Whether you're talking to a colleague, a mentor, even seeking professional support, debriefing after a difficult call is crucial. EMS can be tough, but talking it out helps process those tough emotions. Set boundaries. It's okay to take breaks when you can, and it's okay to leave work at work. EMS can often feel like a 24/7 job, but remember, you have a life outside of the rig. Maintaining that balance will make you a better provider. Exercise and sleep. Get regular exercise, eat well, and make sleep a priority. EMS is physically and mentally demanding, and your body needs to be at its best in order for you to care for others at your best. In conclusion, being a new EMT is both exciting and overwhelming. But remember, you are not alone in this journey. You are a part of a community of providers who support each other and are always learning. Don't be afraid to ask for help, seek out mentorship, and focus on improving a little bit every day. Above all, remember that EMS is not just about responding to calls. It's about making a difference in people's lives, often when they need help the most. So take it one shift at a time, trust the process, and know that with each call, you're growing as a professional. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the Midnight Medic podcast. I hope these tips help you navigate your first days and weeks as an EMT. Stay safe, stay compassionate, and always keep learning. Until next time.